Welcome back to another video. This is Akhil. I'm an agent in the Los Angeles area. These videos are documenting my journey towards accomplishing... wait. Shoot, I kind of messed this up. So it's probably the worst intro ever. But this is documenting my journey towards understanding the nature of the universe. Okay? And my current objective, for I don't know how long it'll be that way, but right now it is. The current objective is to accomplish your real estate, any prospects, real estate goals in the most effective and efficient way possible. And you might be wondering, what does that even mean? What am I even saying? If this is your first time. If it's not your first time, you're probably like, hurry up, get on with the actual video. But if this is your first time, you're probably wondering, man, who are you? Why do you sound so stupid? Well, I'm just trying to understand the nature of the universe, you know? Why do we exist? Trying to understand the big questions. You might be wondering, why are you in real estate if you're trying to understand, you know, what's going on in the world or in the universe, why we exist? Well, because I don't know if I ever actually explained this on the YouTube channel, but my thought process always was that if you want to understand the nature of the universe, you got to work your way backwards. Okay, so you want to understand the nature of the universe. What comes before that? Well, the thing that comes before that is living forever, because how are you going to understand the nature of the universe if you only live for 100 years or so? Like, assuming, you know, a human lifetime, 100 years is like assuming everything goes perfectly. And the last 35 years are probably shit anyway, because you're like old as shit and you probably have like no mental faculties. I mean, even Warren Buffett, for example, he's like 90 something right now. But he is like, even though he's still like, you know, mentally there, he's probably like 30% of what he used to be, you know? I mean, he probably can't even walk correctly either. So, I mean, you know, yeah, you really only have like 70 good years if you really think about it. So life is only really meaningful if it's eternal, because otherwise you just die. So all of the knowledge and everything that you accumulated has to be relearned by somebody else. So even if you write all of that down in a book, or you take a video like this and you document all of your knowledge meticulously and all of the lessons that you learned, somebody still has to go through and relearn all of that shit. And they have to relearn it from their lens, so they don't have the actual, like, you know, like the first-hand experience, which the first-hand experience is basically everything, because, you know, anybody can tell you how to do X, Y, Z, but then you actually go and do it, and you actually have to, like, understand it for yourself. You have to basically relearn it. Like, you know, if you go watch a Jeff Bezos podcast, you're not going to tomorrow become Jeff Bezos, even if he tells you every single thing he did. It's not, the first-hand experience is what matters, right? So, what I'm saying is, that's all to say that life is only meaningful if it's really eternal, like you don't die, right? I mean, and it's questionable what life becomes if you don't die, because then it's questionable on what is actually being human mean. Are you just an animal with a giant, like, you know, with a computer, like basically, like, you know, one side of your brain is just the animal side, and then one side of your brain is the actual, like, you know, computational side that actually does all the logical decision making and stuff. But that's obviously questionable, and, you know, if you have eternal life, would you just remove all nature of being like that animalistic urges in? Because, like, right now, if you think about it, it's very inefficient to be a human. You got to eat, you got to sleep, you have desires, you make stupid decisions because of those desires. And yeah, you know, being a human is overall pretty shitty. But what I'm saying is, being a human is obviously currently like the best thing you could be in the world, in the universe. But a step above that would be like, you know, you don't have all these bullshit desires and wasted time. You need to sleep, you need to do all this bullshit. And instead, you actually are a computer. And you can work all the time towards your goals. You don't have desires other than the one main thing. That is your... Yeah, okay, at this point I'm getting a little far off from the point. But anyway, listen. Life is only meaningful if it's eternal. Let's get to the point. Get the point of all this. Let's wrap it up correctly, you know. Find the meaning. I'm talking about all this bullshit, you know, it's all over the place. But listen, so, find the meaning of the universe. What does that mean? That means to understand why we exist. What is it? Is it, you know, this is just like, why does it exist? And then, once you understand why it exists, well then, I mean, you can keep questioning shit, but that's just the goal, to understand what the hell is going on. And why do we exist? Why is there something instead of nothing? That's the first thing. Before that, obviously, if you want to accomplish that, you need to be immortal. Immortal in the sense, you need to not die for a really long period of time so that you can understand all those things. Okay. Step before that. How do you become, you know, how do you have eternal life or just not die? Well, you need to discover that. And luckily, in 2025, we're in a very unique position so that we could possibly, in theory, the next 50 to 100 years, discover 50 to 100. That's pretty far out, but we could probably definitely in the next 50 to 60 years discover a way to prolong human life for extended periods of time, potentially forever. So, step before that. Okay, we're in the right time period. Because if I was born 500 years ago, it wouldn't really matter what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Even if I wanted to find the meaning, I couldn't, because the technology is nowhere near close to ready to where I could live for a long enough period of time to understand the nature of the universe. So, luckily, I'm not born 500 years ago. Luckily, I'm born today. So, that's just like the first thing, right? Time period. Sometimes situations are, unworkable. If you're like, an ape, right, in the prehistoric periods, 15,000 BC, and you're basically like a Neanderthal-like human, it doesn't matter that you want to understand the nature of the universe, because you got to go make food, basically, and kill a rabbit, and, find a mate so you can continue the bloodline down. Maybe 17 million generations later, there's a guy named Akhil who can do that, but you can't, because you got to go eat and not die. But anyway, that's, again, besides the point, and I keep going into random tangents. But, like I said, before eternal life, you got time period. Luckily, we're in the right time period. So now, we're getting to how can you effectively make sure that you live for long enough? Well, you need to have resources. Why do you need to have resources? Well, if you don't have any resources, also known as money, you can't do shit. Okay? You're like a leaf in the wind. Wherever the wind blows, you fly with it. Because if you don't have any resources, you can't do shit. You know what I'm saying? You can't invest in the right research. You can't understand anything. You can't progress in any industry. And you're just basically hoping to Jesus that somebody comes in and discovers a way to give you eternal life and gives it to you willingly. But if you have resources, you can make that happen yourself and give it to the world. So that's why I'm after resources. So, step before that. So, what is the step before that? Before you get resources, what do you need to do? You need to gain skills so you can get the resources. You see what I'm saying? Linear progression. What do you need to do in order to gain skills? You need to go into an industry, spend a long period of time, mess up a lot, keep pushing forward, and gain the skills. So that's the phase that I'm currently in. See the progression here? See? That is the plan. It's a genius plan made by yours truly. Okay? It starts here. Progression arc back here. Age 20 years old, year 2025. Progression, to finding the meaning. Meaning is found 118,000 years from now, when Akhil is not even human anymore. He is like a form of light, a refraction of light, and understands the nature of everything. But there's a long progression to get there. So yeah, that's why I'm making these videos, to document my progress to becoming a refraction of light. So yeah, anyway, let's talk about, instead of the giant tangent that I just went on, let's get back to the point. Okay, the point is, I need to become a great real estate agent. First things first, what am I doing right now? You might be asking. So obviously last week I talked about the ads. So let's get into the first topic, which is ads. And then, we're going to be talking about ads, leases, open houses, random shit I learned, and cold emails. So yeah, let's get on with it. So first things first, we got ads. So what have I been doing in ads? Actually not much, because I just found it that ads is like, I must not just not be good enough, or I must not be trying hard enough, because man, I tried so many different variations, so many different things, trying to game the system, and I still can't make it work. So that's basically the status. I'm still actively trying a couple things. Right now I have an active campaign, and this time, so I stopped, obviously, I don't know if I told this last video, but I stopped the landlord ads. I stopped the landlord ads. Now I'm targeting lease-looking people looking for leases, and that is to no success. I keep getting people who are only looking for $1,000 rentals in expensive areas. Like, what is wrong with you? How are you going to get a $1,000 a month rental in Santa Monica? Are you high, my guy? That's what I'm getting. I'm not even joking. One guy, he's like, hello, I am disabled senior. I think he was like disabled senior and a veteran or something. And he was like, I need housing under $1,000. And it was in an expensive area. And I was like, dude, where are you going to find a rental for under $1,000? You want a homeless shelter? You want like a cardboard box on the street? What do you want me to give you, bro? Like, for reals. Some people just don't understand. When I put on the advertisement, 8,000 or more in Santa Monica, let me know, I'll help you. This guy reaches out, and he's asking for under $1,000. Anyway, those are the type of people getting, and I got like 5 of those types of people, you know, and I haven't been able to get the people that I'm looking for. I'm not able to target the right people. And I was trying to game the system again. You know, there was like this whole thing where it's like, oh, if you're in real estate, you can't discriminate by advertising to certain groups of people, right? Like you can't advertise to people of a certain age. You have to advertise to all ages, which is an 18-year-old going to be buying a $3 million house? No. So why do I need to advertise to him? California? I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, and I've been trying to game that system to allow me to advertise to who I want to, but for whatever reason, it works for landlords. I can game it, but for this one, I can't game the system at all. Just every time it figures out, no, you're a real estate agent. You cannot be doing that. Please do not do that. We are not going to run your ad. And I can't run my ad. So, you know, that's how it is. So yeah, I've been trying shit. We'll try that. We'll keep trying it. I'll try the condo one where I'm targeting condo people buying a condo. We'll see if that works. I don't know. Maybe I should get better ads. Maybe I just need to make better ads. Maybe I just suck. That's probably what it is. I probably just suck. Anyway, after that, did some leases. We're talking about lease. This is the next subject, leases. I still got that one lease listing. I'm surprised it's not rented yet. I mean, it's been on the market for like 18, 19 days now. I've probably had about 18, 19, 20 people reach out, but I still don't have an application. I've been showing this shit like there's no tomorrow, bro. I've been showing it so much. Nobody's applying. I don't know why, but we just reduced the price. Let's see what happens. Hopefully we get some applications. I can get this rented. The house is nice. The place is nice. The location's nice. It's not renting. Anyway, I got another lease coming up. Should be coming up soon. Got one in Sherman Oaks. This is a person I met really long time ago. Maybe 4 or 5 months ago. He actually called me from another lease I had in Sherman Oaks. The one I never ended up renting. But yeah, this guy wants to rent his house for a year. I'm getting photos tomorrow. So yeah, let's see how that goes. And then I'm also helping a couple guys, like look for a place. We'll see how that goes. Like look for a lease. Trying to help. I got one buyer that I'm helping right now. We'll see if it's from an open house. So let's see what happens. Yeah, open houses are still a priority. Let's go to the next thing, which is open houses. Other than that, and leases, to go back to leases real quick, I don't think there's anything new. I haven't been able to cold call much because there's not been not much leads, but you know, I think now I'm going to scrub. It's been almost 12 days since I scrubbed. So I'm going to probably scrub right now today, and hopefully we can get some calls in and call some people, get some leases. But after that, got open houses. Open houses, I held one last week, should be holding 1 or 2 this week. Still grinding them out, trying to get as much leads as possible. Also, side note, referrals, I've noticed in this year have gone up compared to last year. Last year I got like probably 1 or 2. This time I got like at least 5 referrals probably, if I count it. Maybe 4 or 5 referrals, which is great. A couple of them are leases. Yesterday I met with a guy who was referred to me so I rented out across the street of this guy. I rented out a lady's house. She referred me to him. He's potentially looking to sell or rent. He's not sure yet. He's still kind of running the numbers, but I met with him. He was cool. We'll see I gave him my recommendations. Let's see how it pans out. I mean, if he wants to sell, happy to help him. If he wants to rent, happy to help him too. I guess he's kind of in an interesting situation. He's kind of trying to live abroad, so he's not sure yet if he wants to rent it and get consistent income, or if he wants to like sell it and then just kind of put that in a different type of investment, or what the situation is. But he's still trying to figure it out. I did take a weekend off of open houses. That was the week before last week, and I still did a shit, but it was mostly like just like fixing shit, not related to real estate, just like fixing house shit. Anyway, last week I sent out some cold texts, didn't get anything out of it, like open house wise. Cold text to agents to get an open house, didn't get anything out of that. But in terms of open houses, been pretty good. And I think, yes, referrals, like I was saying, I've been getting more. So I think overall I'm just going to try to increase, obviously, the amount of people I know so that, you know, my base increases. And the more people you know, the more likely you are to get a sale of some sort. So the next thing is, what is it? Oh yeah, cold emails. So you might be wondering, what the heck are you talking about, cold emails? Well, I've been sending out cold emails. You might be wondering why. Why are you adding another lead generation platform? Didn't you already say that was mentally challenged and that you should not be doing that? Yes, I did say that. But I was so bored because there was no leads to call, my ads were already running, and I had nothing to do. So I was like, screw it. We are going to start running cold emails. So, Vulcan 7 is like it's a platform that you can use for cold calling and also getting cold emails from, because those are like, it just scrubs all the expired listings and then gives you contacts. Basically, it's a dialer system. It costs like $1 million a month. And yeah, luckily, my team lead actually started, doing it again, and I scrubbed a bunch of emails from that system, and I started cold emailing. So, surprisingly enough, cold emails, even though I haven't gotten any positive responses yet, more people respond to the cold emails than the cold calls. So it's like, if I email like 50 people, I'll get like 2 or 3 responses. Those 2 or 3 responses are not good. They're like, hey, stop emailing me. Please stop. Screw you. Stuff like that. But I'm getting responses, That means people are getting the email. So, yeah, and then there was like this whole thing I had to figure out, where it was like, how do I send, 100 emails at a time and also make it personalized so that, it's their first name and I'm not just sending a generic email to 1,000 people or whatever. So what I did is I figured out this thing with Google. It's called mail merge, and then I try to do it on my personal email. There's like a limit of 100 a day, and then I switched to the Compass email where there's like a limit of 1,000 a day. So now I'm doing 1,000, not 1,000 a day, but I'm ramping it up shortly. I'm doing 75, then 80. Like you want to ramp it up so that you don't get marked as spam, because if you get marked as spam, then you're screwed. You can't, like, nobody's gonna ever read your email. Then that kind of takes away the whole point of sending an email. So you want to start slow, which is what I'm doing. And then now I realize, like, okay, even if I do it slowly, like 50 or 100 emails a day, there's still not that many emails. So I need to, get more emails somehow. And yeah, there's like this whole thing I'm figuring out, but it is what it is. I probably shouldn't have done it, honestly. But I was bored and I just did it. So we'll see how it works. If I get a lead, it's super worth it. If I don't, then it was cool to learn, I guess. Anyway, other than that, gotta focus on the positivity, the motivation, and what does he say? Anyway, I was listening to some Big Herc 916, and shout out to him. He's pretty cool. I don't know. I just kind of like listen to his videos. He tells it, straight to the ball, straight to the point. I kind of like his videos. There's just him talking to the camera about just random stuff. Most of it's like I guess kind of just like motivation. I mean, I'm not too big on motivation, but I do like the tactical thing. It's like at the end of the day, I mean, what I did notice in the past few weeks is like everything really just comes down to the thoughts that you have in your mind and what you allow. Because if you allow yourself to like feed the thoughts of like negativity, or oh, you can't do this, or oh, whatever, I don't know, just like random bullshit, whatever you feed yourself, right? Like whether it's like, oh, you can't do it, or oh, you're bad at this, or oh, because you did this, because you're stupid in the past, now you have to regret it, or whatever it is. At the end of the day, if you fix the thoughts in your head, like if you just like, okay, hey, what I realize is like, hey, if you question every thought, like, why does this exist? Because what I noticed is like I would spend a lot of energy just on random shit sometimes, just thinking about random shit that's like never gonna occur. Just like random shit, just like you just think about like, oh, that's an interesting tree. Or I wonder what would happen if this. And you go on this entire tangent. I don't know why I do this, but I guess it might be like overthinking, or maybe nobody else has this problem, but I bet you most people do. Where you just like start thinking about random shit for no reason. And it's like, I kind of just like a couple days ago just realized, like, or maybe yesterday actually, I was just thinking about it. I was like, why am I letting myself think so much on random shit? Like the lady walking down the street, I'm judging their appearance for no reason. Like, why? It's irrelevant. Like, or like there's a car. That's a nice car. Why am I thinking that thought? It's a waste of energy. I don't know. I might be overthinking it, but I'm just saying, like, if I question every thought, I started doing that, like, I don't know, I just started thinking about that, and it's just like, it's so much freedom, bro. I don't know how to explain it. Just like every time you start thinking about random shit, if you just question that thought, like, why do I even care? Right? And then you start to like, and then like randomly you'll think about something that happened in the past, and then you're being like, why did I do that? Oh, that was so stupid. And obviously, it's like some emotional decision that you made. You were like feeling like, I don't know, lustful, and you made the stupid, decision to watch something or whatever it is. Or you were like, making like a risky decision to like do something stupid, when you're driving or whatever it is. And you just think back, like, why did I do that? Why did I do that? And you start to like regret it, or like, you're like, at the end of the day, like if you really just start to look at it and you just like question every single thought you have, I don't know, for me it helps. I just like question the thought, like, why am I even thinking about this? Like, what is this going to do? How is it going to get me closer to the meaning? This is just draining my life. And yeah, I guess that it helps with everything, whether it's like regret or whether it's like, I don't know, like, whatever it is, it helps a lot. Sorry if I look tired today. I don't know why. Just freaking allergies, bro. I never had this problem before, but I have magically this problem now, so whatever, who cares? Push through. Anyway, and also, Sometimes you're going to have a bad day, bad week, or sometimes even a bad year. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you just got to keep pushing. You know what I'm saying? Pushing. And I guess this year compared to last year, it felt a lot worse because last year when I started, I was helping out this buyer. I closed my first deal in April. I kept closing leases. And I don't know why I felt way more like, I guess, motivated, and also shit was going way better than this year. Like this year, I still only closed 2 deals, and it's literally May. So I'm like, and I did more work than I ever did in any prior year. Like I've done more calls objectively, I've done more open houses objectively, I've done more everything objectively. And it's like so annoying. I just feel like, what the fuck? What is this? Why am I not moving forward at all? Why am I doing worse than the year before? But at the end of the day, I mean, it is what it is. You gotta keep pushing. Whether it's like, a bad year, bad day, whatever it is, even if you make a stupid decision, you just gotta keep pushing forward. And at the end of the day, like we all make stupid decisions, and I mean, if you make a really stupid decision, you end up in jail. But at the end of the day, you can choose to make those decisions define you, because it's a choice. Actually, what I noticed is like, if you do something stupid, and then you're like afterwards, like, why the fuck did I do that? And then because for me, if I make a stupid decision or something that is just not in line with who I am as a person, like I don't know, I just do something wrong, or it doesn't, whatever it is, right? I just do something that is not aligned with who my best self is. I just start to ruminate on that shit for days and for weeks, and it's just like every morning when I wake up, I just think, why did I do that? And it's just like it sits in my mind for like forever, and that's just what I noticed about myself. And maybe somebody else has that too. But what I noticed is, it's actually a choice to allow that to happen. So for me, even though naturally my proclivity is to question everything I've ever done every single day, and then just go through all my thoughts and my it's just like, you're wasting so much energy and time space on basically nothing, because at the end of the day, you can't change anything you've done, right? But the only thing you can change is obviously the future and right now, right? You can make decisions today to live your best self, and today to do the right things, and to make yourself, the best version of yourself, or whatever you want to call it, to make the right decisions, right? To be a better person every single day. And for me, what I noticed is, if I really just sit down and just question those thoughts, like, hey, why am I thinking this? This is not necessary. It basically sets me free and allows me to, really work a lot better and do better shit. So, and a lot of this shit is like tied to emotions too. Like basically where it's like you remember something, but objectively nothing actually happened, but there's like emotion tied to it. So every time you remember that thing, you feel an emotion, and then that just, kind of demotivates you to do whatever you're doing. I don't know if anybody else has this problem, obviously, but I'm just speaking aloud at like what I feel on a daily basis. It's like I look at how big my goal is, right? And it feels like every single day I make no progress. And if anything, I'm taking steps back, and and it just feels like, okay, I don't know. For me, I mean, obviously, I feel like, oh my God, it's been 2 years. It's actually been 3 technically, if you really think about it, because I left school at like 16, 17, and what have I accomplished in 3 years? Basically nothing. I'm still generally broke. I'm still this, I'm still that. I'm not, anywhere closer to my goal. And it's just like, I don't know, you just get into this like mental destructive mindset, and then that combines with, oh, you made these mistakes in the past, you made this in the past, you're a loser, you basically deserve to die, you're useless, you're never going to accomplish your goal. Basically, that's like the self, like the thing that just, I don't know, just destroys your brain. But I had this problem because, I know, I think about everything a lot, and every decision I make, I always think about it a lot for whatever reason. Most of the time, not before I make the decision, after I make the decision. That's the stupid thing. So I make a decision, or whatever it is, whether it be small or big, and I'm like, why the hell did I do that? What am I doing? What is this decision? And I start to like analyze it and just overanalyze everything. And then I'll just be sitting there just analyzing shit for like 5-10 minutes, and I'll be like, well, what the hell? Like, what am I doing with my life? And I just like, did I make the right decision? Did I do this? And it's not like one time and it lets go. Like, let's just say I make a mistake, right? Whatever it is. It's not like something I just think about once and move on from. It's something that, like, I think about it once, and then even though I've already thought about it before, I think about it again and again and again and again, until at some point it's just like, I don't know, it's just a horrible cycle. But basically, that's a choice. You can choose to do that. What I noticed is it's a choice. Life is what you focus on. If you choose to focus on shit like that, like, just like, kind of just rethinking and thinking, whatever it is, whatever you're overthinking about, you can choose, what I'm saying? It's a choice. If you question every thought, you can just basically, if you question the thought, like, why am I doing this thought? You'll basically break that cycle, and then you can say, no, I'm not thinking about this. I refuse to think about it. And you can tell your mind, basically, I refuse. I'm not going to do that. And what I noticed is it's much freer. Life is a lot better if you're not thinking about a bunch of bullshit. So, it's a choice what you choose to think about. It's a choice how hard you push. It's a choice on, what you allow yourself to do, right? So that's all to say, problems are inevitable, but like all problems, there's always going to be problems. No matter if you solve a problem, there's always going to be another problem that occurs, right? There's no light without dark. For every problem you have that you solve, there's obviously going to be another equivalent, problem that arises after that problem is solved. For example, you solve transportation with a car. Now you have car crashes. Now you have 1,000 different things that could stop working in a car. Now, if there's no supply chain of gasoline, then you're screwed. You can't use that. Now there's no horses. There's always going to be a problem that occurs with a solution, no matter what the problem is that you solve. So problems are inevitable, but all problems are also soluble. They're all solvable. All problems are solvable, but obviously the problems are inevitable. So for every problem you solve, there will be new problems, but you can keep solving them. Every single problem is solvable. So that's really just a full circle to knowledge is the thing that sets you free, right? Because at the end of the day, what separates a human from an animal, for example, is the knowledge, right? If that animal had the knowledge to do things and operate as a human, then we would consider that animal also a human. Because it's the only thing that sets apart people is knowledge, for the most part. I mean, knowledge and, I guess, skills. But skills are just another form of knowledge. So it's specific knowledge, right? What is a skill? It's specifically, you've done that task over and over again, so you specifically know exactly how you do it, which is just another form of knowledge. So knowledge sets you free, which is why the ultimate freedom is to understand the nature of the universe. Because the ultimate freedom is to understand how everything around you works, operates, and why it exists, right? That is the ultimate freedom. But I guess that's what it is. So anyway, that's kind of just that. Let's go to the next thing that I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, last video I talked about my car. So everything was fixed about the car. And the last video I basically talked about how it's so much better owning I don't know if I talked about it, but it is so much better owning a cheaper car because the entire repair for the car. I don't know, I have the videos from last video, so if you want to go check out the last video, you can see the photos of what the car looked like. Basically, there's this whole thing that happened, and yeah. But it only costs $1,250 to fix. So that's for a Yaris, Toyota Yaris 2014. That is quite cheap considering the level of damage. And if it was it's so good to have a cheap car because it's everything is so easily fixable. And there were some other small things wrong inside the car that I was able to fix myself. And the parts are so cheap on cheap cars, it's insane. You can just anything, whether it's a hood, whether it's even really big parts that you right next to an engine, the parts right next to an engine are quite cheap on a cheaper car. So I guess if anybody's considered buying an expensive car, unless you have so much money it doesn't matter, you should probably go for the cheaper car because it's just it's like a freedom basically. And yeah, I think that comes full circle. Push forward. Don't let yourself ruminate in useless thoughts. And really, it's just kind of emotions and thoughts. And at the end of the day, if you really look at it, right? None of this, all of the rules that are dictated and set are not really set in a way that it is set by a society so that it can best benefit society, but it's not set so that you can best accomplish the nature of the universe. Because this is just thinking aloud, but what is a punishment really? You just want to punish a behavior that is not conducive to the society's function, correct? Which means obviously you don't want people killing or raping or some crazy shit like that, obviously, because then you can't function as a society. It's not possible. But what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, if you, let's just say, for example, Big Herc, he robbed a bank, right? And then he got sentenced to 10 years in prison. But that sentence of 10 years in prison, right? If he, at the end of the day, what was the goal that is supposed to be accomplished by sentencing somebody to 10 years in prison? The goal is that you, one, dissuade other people from doing it, right? And then two, you teach that person that is an action that we don't reward. But at the end of the day, let's just say Big Herc, he did that action and he realized that was such a stupid thing that he's never going to do that again, right? So then what is the benefit of punishing? Now let's just say for example, Big Herc, now the day after decides he's never going to do that, he's going to change his life on all his habits and he's never going to associate with those people again. Now, what is the difference between him then and then 10 years later after serving a prison sentence? Let's just assume, right, they still are both decided that they're never going to do, illegal activity again, right? Nothing really changed about those two people, right? One is you're just basically, at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that you can choose to punish yourself over something, or you can just choose to say, you know what, I'm not going to make that mistake again and move on, is what I'm saying. Obviously, from a societal perspective, you need to have, obviously, jails, otherwise you can't function. I'm not like some crazy person who doesn't believe in jails, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, for you yourself, right, it all comes down to actions and your beliefs behind those actions. So let's just say you make a mistake. Obviously not like, something crazy where you're gonna go to jail. I'm just saying like you make a mistake that's like, you make a mistake that's like stupid for yourself. Obviously not illegal, but something stupid that sets you back, right? You say something stupid, in an interview, or you say something wrong to somebody, or you do something stupid. You just like let your emotions take control of you and you do something stupid, right? Whether it's in anger, in fear, in lust, or whatever. You just do something stupid. You can either choose to use that to like you can either choose to use that action that you made as a reason for you to continue making bad choices, or you can use that as a reason you never make that same choice again. That's a choice. You see what I'm saying? And you can also choose to punish yourself over that for a really long period of time, or you can choose to say, I'm never going to let that happen again, and I'm not going to make those actions. So there's no need for a punishment, because a punishment itself is just to stop those actions, right? So what I'm saying is, if you make the right actions, there's no need for obviously from a societal perspective, that's not what I'm saying. But from an individual perspective, you don't need to punish yourself over something you did. What you need to do is change the actions, because that's all that matters. So I guess there's a little bit of a nuance there. I'm not saying you shouldn't punish from a society's perspective. Obviously, you don't want, if you unpunish, you can't not punish crime. That wouldn't make any sense, because then people would do crime. But what I'm saying is, from an individual level, you can't punish yourself. I hope this makes sense. If you punish yourself, all you're doing is making it more likely you're going to make the same mistake again. At least I noticed this, in myself. If I punish myself for something, then I keep toiling myself over it. Now I keep thinking about it. Now I'm more likely to do the same thing again, just because it's always in front of you. So all I'm saying is, what matters is your actions, and what matters is keeping your ideas, thoughts, actions, and habits in check. Anyway, that's the entire video. Yeah, got to push forward. Knowledge sets you free. Got to understand the nature of the universe, and got to find the meaning. So push forward, and yeah, that's it. Knowledge sets you free, man. Knowledge sets you free. Got to get the knowledge. Knowledge.